So there's a book called Atomic Habit, and the author of that book talks about how many people wants to change the result and they focus on the result. But the end result outcome is just an extension of accumulating habit. Now, what's habit? Habit are actions we take without any conscious thoughts. And action, for me in this state, it's not limited to just movement of the body per se, but the action of our thinking. So habits are actions, movement of the thoughts that we make without any conscious thoughts, right? So in this video, I want to talk about what you think, you become. What you think, you become. So becoming is your identity. Identity consists of your thoughts, feelings, emotions, and belief, and intention behind action. So many people want a different outcome you're experiencing in life, in the life situation and circumstance. And we tend to focus on the outside because that's what we can detect easily using our five senses. But if, just like Atomic Habit says, what we really want to focus on is to change the accumulating habits. Accumulating habits are this sort of movement that arises that we do automatically without any conscious thoughts. Yeah. So then our subconscious that sort of lean into or being navigated automatically, or thoughts that we tend to think in a mechanical, repeated manner, is some sort of automatic pattern that we are not catching most of the time because it's at the subconscious level. But how can we begin becoming aware of that? And how can we begin realizing that the thoughts that we think all the time is a reflection of our subconscious state? Because what's in the subconscious, you are becoming currently. So in this video, I want to talk about the interconnectedness of your moment-to-moment thoughts, your identity, and also your subconscious. So let's begin by analyzing this single statement that I love sharing with people. It was one of my mentors, Bob Proctor, who says this, that your subconscious mind is very automatic, right? And the nature is that if you are not consciously and deliberately forming a positive, good, empowering habit, including thinking positive thoughts or expecting a desirable outcome, you are unconsciously forming a bad one, negative one, or focusing on the undesirable outcome. Yeah, let me say this again. If you're not deliberately and consciously working on forming, shaping the thoughts that you want, or forming a habit that move your life forward, if you don't have the intention, a proactive attention to it, you are more than likely subconsciously start accumulating thoughts that might be harming you or building up the habits that is making you stuck. And the analogy that I like to share is, imagine that you're sort of, climbing a rock climbing, yeah, and because we need some energy to climb up. If you're not walking and climbing up little by little by little, because gravity exists, you start letting that whole body to drag down, 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 down towards the ground. Yeah. So notice that every single thoughts that we think, or the subconscious belief that we have, if we're not paying attention to what belief we're coming from, what thoughts we're entertaining in the garden of the mind, we are more than likely mechanically drifting towards thinking thoughts that is under our default state, or believing something limited, such as I am not good enough, or this is not gonna work for me, or some sort of disempowering emotions and belief. Yeah. So you think, and what you think all the time, eventually you become. So your conscious mind is sort of like a less than 5% of our awaken operation. And 95, 96, even 98%, we are moving at the subconscious state. So how do we actually approach this in order to change our subconscious programming, the default state? And we can, talk about using hypnosis. We can talk about using a repetition to be able to shift the subconscious. But I think over the years working with people, this conversation needs to be practical, right? For you to be able to implement in your day-to-day life so you can actually change it. So I'm gonna give you one exercise, right? So let's talk about something that you want to change in your life currently. And when you say that, usually most people think about the outside circumstance, and that is perfectly fine, right? So I want you to write on paper what is the outcome, one thing that you want to see change in your life, and pick what's most important. Yeah. And let's say that the outside circumstance is a reflection of our inside, which includes our thinking pattern, which includes the feeling tone that we're living, the feeling home, I want to say feeling home that we're living, and the emotional tendency that we get drifted towards, and underlying subconscious belief. Let's talk about these four things, right? What if these thoughts and in feeling and emotions and belief are the cause of your outside circumstance? So what we want to do is to, because we all want to kind of see something change in the outside, and nothing wrong with that, right? So once you identify that and write on paper, so I want you to write on paper, right? Then I want you to have the four different columns, right? Of because the inside is the cause of the outside, and if that is true, we must identify the inside identity that is reflecting to create the outside. So when we go one by one, it's very simple. It's not that difficult. What makes many people difficult, let me say this honestly, is that people actually don't do this exercise, right? Think about this exercise, but don't dive into fully into this exercise until they feel complete. So if you are somebody who, resonate with this kind of idea, and you want to experiment to see the change, I actually want you to do this exercise. So write down something that you want to change in the outside, number one, right? And it means to write down on a piece of paper, right? And then begin writing all the thoughts that you're currently thinking that you might feel like it's contributing to produce the existing circumstance. What is the feeling home that you're in? The feeling home that you're in has to do with the sense of self, how you feel about you in this world. Do you feel, how do you see and feel yourself, right? Uh, you can sort of have two people side by side, yourself and somebody who you deeply admire. It could be Dalai Lama, it could be Oprah, it could be, I don't know, your hero, right? And when you see that person and yourself, what is the difference? What is the impression of the person? And when you see you and that hero that you chose on the stage side to side, how different do you feel about you compared to this person? And then we're comparing for the sake of filling the gap. Okay, what is that destructive pattern emotion that you might be entertaining that you want to let go of, right? And then most importantly, what do you think is the subconscious belief that you're holding onto about you, about the world, about life, that might be actually manifesting to create that existing circumstance. Yeah. So you want to take some time to go through this 4 levels process. Yeah. So step 1 is to identify that existing circumstance that you want to change, right? And then when you do that, you also want to identify what is it that you want to see change instead. Then your current mode of your thoughts, feelings, emotions, and belief. And now, once you identify those, what is the belief, emotions, and then feeling homes and the thought patterns that you would be entertaining internally when you have that outside circumstance change to your desired outcome? Then what you want to do is to stop focusing on the external outcome, just like the Atomic Habit says. You want to focus on your inside and begin nurturing your beliefs, seed of the new belief, seed of the new feeling home, seed of the stable, grounded emotions that you're feeling all the time, and the kind of thoughts that you would be thinking when you are already in that fulfillment of the desire. That is the new becoming, your identity. And of course, based on the belief that you're in, your habitual action of the movement of your body action and the behavior will be different. So if you want to go one step further, right, you can also begin writing down with this new belief when you are having that desired outcome accomplished, right? How would I be behaving differently? And then you're going to write all those things down, right? And then having all those becoming clear is actually a 50% of the work. Now, what we want to do is to begin staying in this energy, because as I share at the beginning of this video, if you're not consciously and deliberately forming a good habit, you're more than likely unconsciously slip into the past present default state. So once you identify the new identity, you want to be feeding yourself with this idea, energy, and sensation and feeling every single day. Yeah. And then the key is to begin integrating this into what you're already doing every single day. So I don't want you to feel like you need to set the time aside for an hour to do it, right? But it could, and then the mode of how you can practice is different depending on the learning style, right? You can kind of test it. You can have a script or a sentence that energizes you to describe your new identity, your new belief, or you can record and listen to your voice, or you can have your statement and begin reading as you play your favorite music. Yeah, there are different ways to do it, because when you, and then you want to kind of test it, right? If you are somebody who likes music, you want to use that to uplift you and inspire you. If you are a essential oil person, you can use that scent to come back to that place of the ideal identity. If you are somebody who wants to do this outside to feel that breathe and to feel that openness in nature, you can do that. You want to have, if you want to have some sort of drink, or you want to make it actually a little ritualized to be able to enter into the spirit of forming a new identity. So then begin having this sort of like a feedback system of observing your thinking, right, on the day-to-day basis. Because what you think constantly, you become. So what that really means is that when you begin feeding your garden of the mind with thinking the thoughts based on the new identity over and over and over, it's inevitable for you to become one. And when you become that identity, now you're having a different feeling home, and then you're doing a different behavior, and the outside result will inevitably change, because the outside outcome is an accumulation of the habits that we're forming. Habits are action we take without any conscious thought. So when we begin consciously becoming aware of the new habits and begin doing the things consciously and deliberately, we can proactively and deliberately begin forming a new identity to shift the outcome to the one that we desire. So that is it. We think, and what we think all the time, we become. And the goal is to have a set of practice and begin consistent with the practice and begin integrating in what you're already doing to be able to tap into the new identity. Feel free to comment below if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next video.